Hello everyone, Ebba here. Today I'm going to keep it really simple, but I'm going to show you something that might be very helpful to you. Whether you're a journal maker or you're not, or a card maker, whatever, this might be something that can be useful to you. I know I've been absent lately. I'm supposed to not strain my eyes too much, so I've been resting a lot. Uh, But I thought this is something that I can show you because I need to make 3 very small journals. I don't mean small this way, I mean small thickness with only a few pages in them. And there are 3 really simple, um, progressively more difficult ways of putting a journal together. So I'm going to start with the easiest way and work to the most difficult way. So the easiest way is here. This will be the next easiest way. And this will be the more difficult way. And this requires more tools than these two. All right, let me just set this one and this one aside, and I'll show you this one. Now, I've already folded and printed. So if you're going to make something for yourself, you can just use a blank piece of cardboard, or cardstock, and blank paper from your printer. You can use basically any kind of paper you want to make your notebook, because that's what you're making. Is you're making a kind of a notebook. You can call it a journal, whatever you want to call it, but it's a notebook. And in my case, I just need something that I can make notes about all these different things that I'm doing, the series types of things that I'm going to be starting to do. And I needed a notebook for it. Now, the easiest way of making a notebook is take some cardstock. You do want to have something that's more firm, like a cardstock. This is a 110-pound Hammermill cardstock, which is 199 GSM, for those of you sort of in the rest of the world. I printed on both sides with this kind of misty looking image on both sides. And I kind of like it. And I will try to remember where I got that image from, but yeah, it comes from so many of my images. I have so many kits and sets and things that have a dozen or more papers in them like this, and you can pick and choose and use them as you want, kind of thing. But I will try and remember where this came from and put it down below in the description as a link. Anyway, the easiest way, get your paper. Now when I'm folding paper for a journal, fold the pages individually, like take each paper, don't fold 2 or 3 at once, and fold them. Match your edges and fold, do your crease. If you have a scoreboard, use your scoreboard and score it. It just makes it a little easier, possibly a little quicker. And then put them together to form a little book, like this. Then do the same thing with your cover, whatever your cover is going to be. I recommend a cardstock. You could even laminate the cardstock and make it last even better. But I recommend a cardstock. And if you're going to laminate, use a score or score the middle. Now, scoring just means putting a mark down there that is an indent. Okay? So I would have scored on this side using a scoreboard. And you can do it using a pen and a ruler. Measure across, make a little mark at your halfway point, and then draw using a ruler and a pen until you get a mark that's an indent. Don't go through your cardstock, because that just puts all the things you don't need. And then fold it away from you, and that way it doesn't crack. If you want to then use the other side, then fold it the other way at that point. Books, if you're going to be using the book often, you might want to do that back and forth kind of folding anyways, just to kind of get it used to bending. Then you're going to place this inside this. Now with all of the yapping, this would take you about a minute and a half maybe. Get a long elastic. You want a long one. You want one that's a little bit longer than your book, because what you don't want to do is get one that's shorter and then stretch it, because what that'll do is bend your book, especially if you don't have very many pages like I don't right now. Find the center, place your elastic over it, get it down into the center, and kind of snug it up with your fingers at the top so that it makes a nice, but not really super tight, stretch over your book. See, if you pull it too tight, it'll start bending your book, but if you don't, it'll be fine. Then take the end and tie a knot. And you're just knotting the elastic to the right size. Now I wouldn't cut this if I was you. And then stretch it, kind of stretch it back till you get it to the right length again, because mine is slightly too short right now. There. There. And then you can kind of pull this wherever you want, that knot. I mean, you can put it on the back or you can put it inside. I don't like them inside so much because then they end up bulking your book up. So I just usually just let it hang up the top there someplace, or if it annoys me too much, I put it at the bottom. And that's it. That's your book. There it is. All held together, ready to be used. You don't have to do anything else with it. Just start writing, and it'll stay together. It will have a tendency to want to move around with your elastic, but it's the simplest. That's the simplest binding there is for a little journal. All right, moving right along. This one. And what you want to do with this is basically the same. Let me just get rid of these. It's basically the same. Now I didn't fold these, but I'm going to. Now normally I would cut off all this white, but for expediency I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and line these up and just fold them. I'm not even using a scoreboard because it's behind me and it's big and just bulky, and yeah. So you just want to just fold them. Now this particular one, it has 4 pages to it. This is going to be part of one of the upcoming sets. Now don't put these together. You don't want to do that. Not with this. With this binding, you're going to be doing something a little bit different. Now I'm noticing, yeah, that's okay. All the wide. I want it all sort of with the white border kind of around the same. This one's being a royal pain. Come on. Line up. There we go. This should be up. Oh. Okay. My eyes decided to play a little trick on me. Okay. And 4. Now, as far as your cover is concerned, this one, in this case, now this one you'll notice I've left it blank on the one side. That's fine. So I don't really mind. It's going to be kind of the last page. All right. I've got a completely blank piece of cardstock because I didn't print a cover for this one. Now what you want to do with this one is you want to mark it. Now I'm just going to fold it to mark it. Fold it in half, or mark it in half, like this. And you need to cut this one. You need to cut your cover actually in half. Okay. Just hope I'm cutting a straight enough line. There. Okay. And then you get tape. This one is just really simple. So what you want to do is you're going to basically tape this whole thing together like this. So it makes a book like this. So you open up your cover, take your first page, leave the rest off to the side. Make sure it's squished down good. Line them up. Get your tape. I'm using ordinary Scotch tape. This is the invisible type tape, whatever you got. You know, if you want to use packing tape, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're making a journal. I'm turning this because the part I cut isn't as straight as my thing here. All right. There. Now you don't want it overlapping. You want it to join, but not overlap. You can have a little tiny space between. It's not going to hurt it. And then just put a piece of tape. I'm going to do 3. You can do 2. You can do 4. You can tape the whole edge if you want, but you know, do at least 2. I'm going to do 1 top, 1 bottom, and 1 in the middle. That's my way of putting this one together. There. Then you flip it over. Page 1 done. Page 2 coming up. And by the way, you can use washi tape. It doesn't, you know, if you want to use washi tape, you can do that too. If you've got it. Or any kind of like tape that is more or less, you know, nice. Something you want to use. Now it doesn't matter if your tapes line up. Don't worry about that either. I'm still doing 3. I'm leaving a tiny gap so that it has room to move. There. Page 2 done. Page 3. No. Took up really long. Oh well. There we go. Didn't even get that one on straight. But this is the second easiest. It takes a little bit more time, but if you don't have an elastic, you know, that fits your cover properly, like a big long one like that, this is your next best. And then what I want is, in this case, I want this like this. I want the blank on the inside. Okay. And then like this. Now, you're taping now and uneven, like it's not the same height, right? So keep that in mind. Don't push underneath. You want to still be lining up even as you can, kind of thing. Like this. And like that. And then we turn that, and then this is the cover. So you can put as many pages like this together as you want, and then the cover is just your last piece. And you can, you know, have a really pretty cover like I did on the first book. Something that hits a certain theme. You know, I mean, it depends on what you're using this for. If you're just using it to make grocery lists or jot down notes about a particular thing, there you go. Now, if you don't like the back end here, like the spine, and you don't like because the tape is kind of sticky because it's sticking out, just take a piece of cardstock or paper even, and wrap it around loosely. Don't glue it down to here or tape it down, and then just either tape it. You could use double-sided tape if you wanted or whatever. Or, I don't know if this is quite wide enough. It's long enough. Let's try this. You can do this. Do it thin on here, so it can wrap around and pull it around, but no, don't do it too tight. You still want your book to be able to move, right? There you go. Push out the little creases, and there. Now you've covered it up. All done. Book number 2 finished. Look at that. That's 2. Now the third way, you've probably seen, if you've watched journal making, you've probably seen this a lot of times. This is called a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, because you poke 3 holes and then you do a stitch through it. So you need to fold your papers again. That is normally the start, is to get your papers folded and your card front, your cover, folded properly. Now in this case, this is only a 2-page one. So we want to make sure this is also part of the series that I'm coming up with. As soon as I can. I see the doctor on the 20th, the eye specialist on the 20th, and then I have to see my family doctor on the 22nd, and we'll see where we go from there. Alright, so in this case, you tuck one page into the other, and then get your cover, fold it. Now this one has been made in a particular way, but I'm doing it this way. This is being made with a spine showing, like a book spine. This is going to go into a box that we're going to be making. We'll make the box first, or I'll make the box first, and then I'll show you it. Okay, so I don't happen to have a bone folder sitting around, so let me show you what you can do. Take scissors, it can be big or little. These are just easier for me to hold. And just do this. Works the same as a bone folder for this purpose. Not for all purposes, but definitely for that one. Okay, so now it's good and flat. We're going to take our pages. This, by the way, is called a signature. When you have a grouping of pages together, that's called a signature. That's all it is. In bookbinding terms, that's what a signature is. Whether it's 2 pages or 100 pages, it's a signature if it's grouped together. And if you have ever had a book fall apart on you, and you see all those little groupings of pages, of papers in the back, like the sections, those are each called signatures. So, I don't know why it is, I forget. I think I read about it once, but I just forgot now. Alright, so, we want a 3-hole. Now you can, there's little template things that you can get that show you where your holes should be. But basically what you want is you want one in about the middle, and I would put all your pages and your cover together if you're not going to use a template. If you're using a template, you can do them apart if you want to, like separate. You can even mark the holes and then punch them with one of those fancy punchy things. The crocodile, I think it's called. But you don't need it. Like, you need a pokey tool. This happens to be an awl. If you buy a binding kit, it's called a book binding kit. You'll get an awl, you'll get a bone folder, you'll get usually several different kinds of waxed thread, it's called. And you'll get, generally you get a tube like this with a couple of needles in it. Mine has lots of needles because I put more in, but it'll have one long needle at least. And that's what you use for your book binding. Now what the long needles are, or the big old needles are, is they're actually a darning needle. From back in the day, look up darning socks. And they're not sharp. They're pointy without being sharp on the end. They're actually almost rounded on the end. That's a short one. I need my long one to do the job. I don't like the short ones. I can't handle it as well. There's my long one. There it is. It's quite fat. And the rest of them are all about the same length. They're from my darning days. I never did darn, but you know, I had a darning kit. Because you know, you did. Back in the day, you had a darning kit. Anyway, there. I'm prepped. So, you take your thing. Now you can clip these. I could use actually a couple of these just to hold things so it doesn't shift on me when I'm trying to poke the holes. Well, you're supposed to work, you know. The idea of a paper clip is to clip the paper. Huh. This one doesn't want to clip the paper. That's weird. Okay. He said, no, I don't want it. I don't like it from that side. Go figure. Snooty paper clip. Okay. I've only got 3. You could use 2 opposite sides on the, it doesn't matter. Just so long as it's holding it. And you want to make sure that it's right pushed into the spine, right up against it. I like to turn mine so that the front is the front and upside up this way, just so I know that's the direction. All right, so find about the middle. To me, it looks like it's about the middle. Close over it and push. Push in about that far. You don't want your holes massive, and these things do get bigger as they get down to the end. So you only want to go that far in. I hope you can see that, but just go in about that far. Okay? Now go up toward the top. You don't want to be too close to the top because then it'll rip open. So come down 1.5 inches, maybe, you know, inch and a half, and do the same thing. Push in about the same distance. You want your holes to be about the same size, and then do the same thing at the other end. Kind of line it up, kind of try and find about the same place on the other end. Give it a push, that much. Good. Now, get your thread. Now you can use embroidery cotton if you don't have this. You'll need a little scissor. If you'll need a scissor of some sort to cut it. Do about 3 lengths of your book. About 3 lengths. To give yourself enough to be able to actually work it. Okay? Let me get my scissors around into my hand where I can actually do something with them. There. Chop that. Wind that back up. Try and put it back into its little plastic sleeve, which I sometimes get and sometimes don't. There. All right. Get your needle. A needle just makes it easier. You could just push this through, especially the wax stuff, because it is stiff enough that you could just push it through, but the needle makes it easier. So this will be a trick for me. I can barely see the hole. Hang on. I gotta take my glasses off and move up really close to my face so you can't really see it, but there it is. Okay, so you just thread the needle, pull in enough, you know, to keep it on the needle. And then you want to decide, do you want your string to land on the outside? Because you're going to have a knot to tie. And you're going to have string on the outside or string on the inside. Whichever you want is where you start. So if you want your string on the outside, start on the outside. If you want your string on the inside, start on the inside. In this case, I want mine on the inside. And that's just a personal thing. Personal preference. So then you've got to leave some on the inside for tying. You've got to leave the tail. So do that. You can even fasten it. I like, if I've got the clips, You can fasten it, or you can just kind of tuck it under. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It kind of holds it in place. No. Anyway, now you can go to the bottom or the top, doesn't matter. You go to one or the other and go back through the other hole. And if you've made your holes the right size, your needle should just fit in there and not bind. Then all the way to the other end, if you went to the top, go to the bottom. If you went to the bottom, go to the top. All the way, go through the hole. Now each time you're doing this, give it a little tug so you know that your binding is snug. Not pulled hard, just pulled. Now here's the trickiest part. You got this going down the middle. You want one of these threads on one side of it and one on the other. And you don't want to split this other thread as you come back up through that hole. Because I said, you got to tie a knot. So you're going to find the hole and don't go through the other thread and come up on the other side. Well, that was fun. We'll try that again, shall we? In you go. Come up on the other side of the center thread and pull through, and now you can take the needle off. Okay? Now, I've got two really long threads. I don't care. I'm going to cut them anyway. Give this a tug to snug it up. Look on the other side and make sure you've got nothing caught on itself, and that as you're snugging it, it's actually pulled taut. Taut, but not so tight you can't breathe, you know? You don't want to bend. You just want to pull it snug. Now, nobody seems to talk about why do you tie on either side of this. You got a hole here. If you tie on one side, the chances are that knot is going to work its way down through that hole and undo your whole book. So it's a simple matter of tying a knot. So you want to go and tie a square knot, which is left over right, right over left, or the opposite way. We're really having a time tying knots. There, tie it, pull. Now, tie it the opposite way, pull. That should be plenty. You can now take the clips off that you had on holding in place and cut your line short. Or, if you want, if you've got it on the outside especially, you can leave these long and you can put charms and beads and things and decorate your book. That's what you see quite a few people do in the journal making things. But for making a really simple journal, I just want to have something to do this in. There, cut it. And then what I will do later on is I might take a little tiny bit of glue. I don't have any out right now, so it doesn't matter. I might take a little tiny bit of glue and just kind of glue these little ends to the thread, to the center. And all that's going to do is just get them out of my way and stop them from bugging me. Then I just like to do a little crease like that. And now I have a journal all ready to be used. There we go. You see? And that is the 3 easiest types of journals to do. So you got one with just a simple elastic, you got one using tape, and you got the 3 full pamphlet stitch. That's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you get some use out of it, because you can use this for skinny books, for tall books, whatever it is you feel like you need something for. You just need I just want a notebook to throw in my purse and be able to write my grocery list on it. Then you don't need a full sheet of paper. You can take each sheet, cut them in half, fold them in half again, like, you know, like this way. And you got one that's skinny. But you know how to put it together now. These, by the way, will last the best and don't move around. Once you've got them stitched in there, they're going nowhere. These ones, sometimes the tape can be a pain. but you know, it works. If what you've got is tape and paper, you've got a book. And this one here, it will move around on you. I'll tell you that right now. But if that's what you've got, you can also use string or wool or anything you want to hold this in place. The elastic works because you can pull it tighter. But if you want to use a string or a wool or a yarn or a ribbon or a lace, that's up to you. You can do that here. You can pretty much use anything to kind of tie it together. Kitchen yarn works great. So anyway, so that's it, folks. Thank you very much for watching me, and I really hope you have a nice day. It's a gorgeous day here today. It's been rainy, it's been cloudy, it's been yucky. I always like the sunny days because, you know, sunny. But it's not hot, it's just nice. Night times have been a little coolish because of the cloud cover. So hopefully tonight is a little warmer. So I'm going to say goodbye. Like if you would, it really helps the channel move ahead. And you know, pass it on if you know anybody that you think could use this. Let them know about it. Alrighty, take care. See you next time. Bye.